All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And as we continue to inch closer and closer, this week is actually the first week of the MLB season. I want to take this time out to talk about how I expect things to break down this year in the American League West. This was a tight race at the top last year between Seattle and Houston. And of course, Seattle was the only team from the AL West to make the playoffs a year ago. But of course, their closest competition in this division last year was Houston. And we saw them finish tied with the Detroit Tigers for the final wild card spot in the American League, but it was the Tigers who would go on to the playoffs as they won the tiebreaker over Houston. And in the process, Houston's consecutive stint of making the playoffs was halted at 8 appearances. But will the 2026 edition of the Astros start a new postseason streak? And will they be able to win the American League West to boot? So for Houston to do it, I mean, you look at shortstop Jeremy Pena. He hit 304 last season. He's going to need another quality season at the plate as well as with his glove in the field. The Astros definitely are hoping to have a healthy Yordan Alvarez this year. He was just limited to just 48 games last year. That really changed the tenor of what this offense looked like for the Stros. You still got veteran outfielder Jake Myers. And then, of course, speaking of veterans, you've got Jose Altuve. He needs just 112 hits to join Craig Biggio as the only players in the Astros franchise history with 2,500 career hits. You got a lot of vets on this team. You got Carlos Correa, you got Christian Walker at first base. But I'm looking at this pitching situation. Losing Framber Valdez in free agency was big as he signed with the Tigers. You still got Hunter Brown in this rotation, and they have a solid bullpen with the likes of Josh Hader when he's healthy, as well as Brian King. But I definitely think that this Astros club is going to be in the mix to win this division. The team that they're probably going to have to compete with the most are the Seattle Mariners, the defending champs. So they begin this season still as the only franchise in MLB history to never make the World Series. But to try to get over that hump, they've also got to put the heartache of last October behind them. I mean, they made the ALCS for just the fifth time in franchise history. This was their best opportunity to get to the Fall Classic. They won the first two games in Toronto against the Blue Jays. They even took a 3-2 lead back to Toronto for games 6 and 7, but they could not seal the deal. They've got to find a way, like I said, to put that behind them and build off of that strong season. It's going to start with Cal Raleigh. Okay, we saw Cal Raleigh have an MVP caliber season last year. He hit 60 home runs, didn't hit for average, which is a reason why Aaron Judge got the AL MVP and not him. The play of Julio Rodriguez in center, can he get that batting average back up to close to where it was during his rookie season? You've got Josh Naylor at first base, and of course, he was given a new contract extension over the offseason after the Mariners picked him up for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was big for them in their run to the postseason. You got veterans in this lineup like Randy Arozarena as well. This pitching staff, I think, is once again going to be big for the M's. You've got the likes of George Kirby, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, and Logan Gilbert. All of them, if healthy, have the potential to win 60 games, 50 games, pardon me, apiece for the Stros. Andres Munoz in this bullpen for Seattle. Will he continue to be lights out? He has saved 60 games over the last two seasons. Manager Dan Wilson pushed a lot of the right buttons last year for Seattle. Will he be able to do it again as his team that looks to make it a second consecutive AL West crown? One of those teams is looking up at both the Mariners and Astros, and let's see if they can make it closer in this year in this division. I'm talking about the Texas Rangers. They had an up and down 2005 25 campaign. They went 81 and 81. And of course, there were some wholesale changes that came along with that. So Bruce Bochy is no longer the manager of the Rangers, as he's basically back in retirement right now, if you will. But the fans that do follow this team are never going to forget that he was a skipper that guided this franchise to their first World Series championship back in 2023. Now, to replace Bochy, Texas has turned to former Miami Marlins manager Skip Schumacher. On top of that, plenty of wholesale changes to this Rangers roster, which includes the arrival of veteran outfielder Brandon Nimmo. And I'll tell you like this, the Rangers acquired Nimmo from the New York Mets in exchange for second baseman Marcus Semien. But I'll tell you like this, the folks in North Texas are not going to take that long to warm up to Nimmo because even though he's physically not the same player that he was when he first came up with the Mets, he's an all effort guy. He's going to give you everything that he has, and of course, the folks that follow the Rangers definitely will appreciate that. Now, in 6 years with the Rangers, we saw Adolis Garcia hit 141 home runs, but when his contract was up after last year, the Rangers did not re-sign him, and he signed a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. So Garcia was never a guy who hit for average, but you still have to replace his pop in the lineup. You've got outfielder Wyatt Langford. He's not going to be a Dallas Garcia. No, don't get me wrong, but he can still have an impact on this squad. Will Texas have a healthy Corey Seager this year? That's important to them. Okay, he missed some time last year. Will the Rangers, or the Rangers definitely will rather, continue to roll the dice with starting pitcher Jacob DeGrom, the oft injured Cy Young award winner when he was in the NL with the Mets? Last year was the first time since 2019 that we saw DeGrom make 30 starts in the season. Got to wonder if that's going to be if we're going to be able to see that for a second consecutive year. Nathan Eovaldi, will he be healthy for this Texas rotation this year? That's another big question mark. We saw Mackenzie Gore struggle in the last 3 years on the mound with the Washington Nationals, but will a change of scenery work out for him? It better from Texas's standpoint because they gave up five guys to the Nats to get Mackenzie Gore. Okay, this Texas Rangers team, there's a lot of what ifs on it, but I'm not sure if all of those what ifs are going to come together in order for this team to contend in the AL West. Then we've got the A's. Okay, the A's are still in transition. As they're still a ways away from officially moving to Vegas, but nonetheless, you got to give Mark Kotsay credit as this team is improving and they're competing. It was just 3 years ago we saw the Rangers, pardon me, the A's rather, lose 112 games. In their final year in Oakland, they went 69 and 93, and in their temporary home in Sacramento last year, they went 76 and 86. So you got to give credit to Mark Kotsay for what he's been able to do with this team because he's basically a miracle worker as he has kept and made the A's respectable. Now, they do have the reigning American League Rookie of the Year in first baseman Nick Kurtz. Will he be able to avoid that sophomore jinx? Last year, we saw him bat 290 with 36 home runs and 86 runs batted in. You've got catcher Shea Langoliers. You've got designated hitter Brent Rooker, and you also have outfielder Tyler Soderstrom. So Oakland, pardon me, I did say Oakland, but the A's are going to hit. You also have the addition of veteran infielder Jeff McNeil in the trade with the Mets. Will McNeil be able to regain the magic at the plate that made him the NL's batting champ back in 2022? Remember, he led the NL in batting that year. He got an extension from the Mets that offseason, has never really been the same guy. So, will a change of scenery provide that spark once again for McNeil? We've got to wait and see. In this rotation for the Oakland, almost said it again. I got to start finding myself for that. But for the A's, they have veteran starter Luis Severino. Will his second season with the A's be better than his first? Because last year was not great, folks. But nonetheless, I don't see the A's competing for this division crown, but they're still going to be a tough out as this is a scrappy bunch. And then finally, there's the Los Angeles Angels. As you know, it's unfortunate because this team has just been so bad for so long. You got to go back to 2014 to find the last time that the Halos made the playoffs. That was also the last time they won the AL West. They went 98 and 64. And 2015 was the last time that they finished with a losing record. The Angels are one of those organizations that has never lost 100 games in a season. They flirted with it a couple of years ago. They lost 99 games. Last year, they went 72 and 90. What are they going to do this time in the first year of Kurt Suzuki, the former MLB catcher, as their manager? Now, of course, no previous experience for Suzuki as a manager or as an assistant. Let's see how this plays out for the Angels this year. They finished in last place in the AL West in each of the last 2 years. Like I said, they have just not been competitive. The decline of outfielder Mike Trout is going to be studied years from now. I guarantee you that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but the injuries have just really taken away from his effectiveness. You do have outfielder Joe Adell, but I'm looking at this Angels pitching staff. Last year, their ERA, their team ERA, 4.89 was dead last in the American League. Jose Soriano was the only Angels starter that won 10 games. Uh, Los Angeles, they brought in Alec Manoah. Of course, they're hopeful that they can catch lightning in a bottle with him. He last pitched for the Blue Jays back in 2024, but he has just not been the same pitcher. And like I said before, the Angels are one of the few teams, maybe the only team, okay, just throwing it out there, that can say that they have never lost 100 games in a season. I think they're going to flirt with it this year. But again, like I said before, coming in, I think that this division crown is going to come down to Houston and Seattle. And I think Seattle has a better rotation and a better lineup. And because of that, I'm going to give the M's the edge to win the AL West for a second consecutive year. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.